today we're doing something a little bit different. We're out in the Pajero, and I'm actually heading for Mount Sugarloaf. Now, I live in the Lake Macquarie / Newcastle, New South Wales area, and a number of people have spotted that I've you know, done my tests and whatever for the lights up around Mount Sugarloaf. So we're actually heading up there today. You can see I've got my little mate on board over here in the passenger seat. The reason we're heading up there today is it's been raining, and you know, I'm on a few days off and I like to go for a bit of a drive up there anyway when I get the chance. But what I've been wanting to do for quite some time is just do a video on just the comparison between your four-wheel drive, so lock center diff, open center diff, the rear locker on this model that I've got on the NT, and then I also want to have a look at the traction control mod that I've got, the Vlads traction control mod as well. And I just want to run over a couple of different bits in the track and just give you a bit of a comparison as to see what sort of difference it makes. Now, the reason I'm heading up today is it's been raining. It's only just stopped. Looks like the skies are actually starting to clear up, so it's still going to be wet up there. We're going to just do some rock steps, some basic stuff. It's nice and close to home. It's easy for me to get to. I can take the dog with me, albeit that he's not going to like it today because we're going to be going up and down these things about 10 times. And the reason I want to go and have a crack at it after it's been raining is one of my mates headed up there the other week after it had been raining in his Prado and was unable to get up. He said he had a few goes at it and was unsuccessful. So we're going to head up there. Look, I believe I've been up there in the rain. In fact, I'm sure I have. It has washed out a little bit, so it's gotten a little bit more challenging than it has been in the past. So we're going to try it in basically 2 high. We'll go 4 high. We'll go 4 high locked. We'll go 4 low locked, which is basically our four-wheel drive. Then what we'll do is we'll go to our rear diff lock. We'll just put the rear diff lock on, which means we will lose our traction control from the front of the vehicle. And then we'll go with the rear diff lock and the Vlads traction control mod on. Now what that's going to do is give us the rear diff, and it's going to allow us to use the traction control on the front of the vehicle, on the front wheels. So there's a couple of different steps, a couple of different grades that we can have a look at. I hope this works. I hope we actually get up it and we get some good comparisons, doing something a little bit different for me today. And as you can see, I've got the GoPro facing me in the car. Get some footage of me whilst I'm driving and trying these different tracks, talking about the different techniques we're using while we're trying to get up these rock steps. And we'll obviously have the camera on the outside to give you a little bit of a look at how we're going there. Also planning a similar sort of video where I'm going to get over to the sand dunes on Stockton Beach. There's a reasonably large sand dune there that everybody runs up. So what I'd like to do is, again, take this over, you know, find a quiet area where I can get away from anybody else, and again, just go through those 5 stages. So we're going to go, you know, 2-wheel drive, we'll go 4-wheel drive high, then we'll go 4-wheel drive high locked, center diff, 4-wheel drive low, we'll do the rear diff lock, we'll do the Vlads traction control, and then the Vlads traction control mod also allows us to turn off the traction control altogether. So we'll give that a run as well, because lots of people seem to not like the traction control mod interfering with them when they're trying to run on the sand. Anyway, we'll get around to that at a later date. So today, let's get up to these rock steps. Let's see how we go. I'm just going to give you a quick look at where we're actually heading. So we're heading out through Barnsley at the moment. It's heading out this bridge. So I've gone up the top of Edgeworth there, chucked a left at heading out towards Barnsley. We're just about to come down, I suppose you call this a Barnsley main road. Out of town, 4-wheel drive, little shop on the left there, and we've got the little takeaway. So we're going to head to this roundabout and we're going to chuck a left. Going to head towards Wakefield, Toronto. We're going to drive down here for about 5-10 minutes and we're going to turn off Archery Road. So Archery Road is the road you're looking for, and I think this area might actually be classified as Wakefield. So you'll come to, this is Archery Road here, you'll see the helicopter sign. No, it's not. I thought it was a helicopter sign. It's actually an Archer sign. So it's, and you'll see that on the right hand side, and we've turned up Archery Road here. So it's just basically off that main drag. Now as you come in here, just be a little bit careful, because it depends on how recently they've graded the area. sometimes they put these little speed humps in, and sometimes the speed humps are a little bit bigger, and you'll lift some tyres if you go over there too quick. So just take your time coming in. Obviously there's the archery field in here on the left, so you're going to go past their main gate, and typically you're going to see this shit. Just lots and lots of rubbish just dumped all around here, and it's absolutely freaking disgraceful. There are cameras up, I believe. I spoke to one of the guys at the archery field there, and they said there are cameras up, but obviously that's still happening. The grubs barely even get off the main road before they dump all their shit, and I don't know if you can tell, but I'm fuming. I'm absolutely disgusted with it. I like to just pull over here and just jump out and let the tyres down. Pull up just here, jump out, let the dog do a run and just drop some air pressures. So he obviously knows we're getting out, he knows what's going on. So come on, buddy. Now, if I remember correctly, last time we come out, I haven't actually put these back up, so the car hasn't really been anywhere. Now just another thing I want to show you, it's just these little caps. I picked these up from Super Cheap, but they've got like a little rubber seal in there, so they seal up the valves really well. Well, I had one which was leaking a little while ago, so I figured the little bit of extra rubber that's in there is a little bit of insurance. So let's just check what we're on. Okay, so we're on about 35. Gonna drop those down to about 25. Now with the Pajero, sometimes if you have issues with it going into you know, your 4 high and getting that and getting all the lights to come on, and actually going into 4 high from 2 high. Sometimes what happens if you have different pressures from left to right, specifically on the front when you're trying to lock it into 4 high, just get out and have a look at your pressures and make sure that they're pretty close. Also, if your tyres are wearing unevenly, so if one of your front ones is a little bit, you know, more worn than, say, your right one's a little bit more worn than the left one, for example, that can have an impact on your ability to actually get it into 4 high. So you'll find it'll just place and won't actually lock in. Now there can be a number of other issues, but that's just one of the easy and free things to actually check. So he basically goes and has a sniff around and then comes back when he's ready to go, which usually coincides with the time it takes me to let down 4 tyres. Now if you want to come down this track and you're kind of new to 4-wheel driving, you can drive here with full pressure tyres and just do the track. It's basically a fire trail. If you want to take the track that I'm going to do, where we're going to turn left and head down through some mud, and we're going to do those little rock steps, then it's probably worth dropping your pressures a little bit. And realistically, it's probably worth dropping your pressures anyway, just a little bit. It just makes the drive, you know, on rougher roads a little bit uncomfortable. I tend to run high highway pressures. I'm up normally around 45. I find that the most comfortable with these tyres and suspension, etc. So when I tend to get on the dirt, all my friends get upset with me because I'm always dropping my pressures where they're not. But sometimes I'm only going down to what they are on for highway pressure. So I'm dropping down to around 30, something thereabouts, and some of them are only running about 35. So, all right. So that is our pressures done. We'll call the dog over. Actually, we won't bother. Here he comes. Come on, bud, let's do this. And he's getting a bit old now, so he needs a bit of a lift. So the dog is packed and we're ready to go. And so I'm just going to give you a quick look at the Super Select system in the Pajero. That is done using this lever on the left hand side. So that's what it's going to look like if you're in 2-wheel drive and you're driving around normally. Some people do like to have it in 4 high and just drive around in that permanently as just a general rule. But I'm one of the people that likes to just leave it in 2 high. If it's dry, I'm not doing anything off-road, I'm just on the tar. It's not raining or anything like that. You'll find me in 2 high. Now on your screen, that's what it's going to look like. You're going to have just your 2 rear wheels engaged, and that is your 2 high. Now to go to 4 high, push the lever down and push it forward. You'll see we're now in 4 high, and often what you'll see is those front wheels are just going to start to flash. Currently I'm in park. I'm just going to put it in drive. Just going to move forward a little bit, up, and there we go, and you'll hear a little bit of a clunk and she'll engage, and we're now in 4 high. Now to make the change to 4 high locked, so we're going to lock our center diff, just again going to push the lever down, push it forward 1, you'll see it'll go into 4 HLC. And what you can see there is our little light in the middle's come on, and that means we've just locked our center diff. So we're now effectively in four-wheel drive. Now if we want to go to four-wheel drive low range, so we're in four-wheel drive high range with the lock center diff. So if we want to go to 4 low, push it down again, push it all the way forward, and you'll see we've now got a 4L come up, and we've still got that center diff locked. So we're now in four-wheel drive, center diff locked, low range. So this is low range. So, you know, if you're in the challenging parts and you're struggling, 4 low is where you want to be. Because it's been raining, it's a little bit more slippery. We're actually going to put it into just 4 high. So I'm just going to push the lever, bring it back, and you'll see our 4 low disappears off the dash. And that's it. That's basically how the Super Select works. Now, if you're trying to use your Super Select, what you need to know is you can't actually go from the back to the front all in one go. So you can't just push it down and go all the way to 4 low locked. For example, you can see that it won't move any further. So what you need to do is push it, move it 1, let it go, push it down, move it 1, let it go, and again to get all the way to the front. So again, we're just going to leave it in 4 high. We're going to lock that center diff. You can see again, those wheels are starting to flash because we've been buggering around with it. It's going to put it in gear and let it roll, and it's going to just lock itself. There we go. If you have troubles with it not locking in, what you can do is sometimes put it into reverse. Now this applies for it not going in and not coming out. So what you can do is just put it into reverse, reverse back up a bit, go back into forward, roll forward a little bit, and you'll generally find these lights will either come on or off depending on what you want to do. The other thing you can do is if you're driving along, you can do it up to around about the 80 kilometers an hour, go in and out, and say you're going up a hill and you've taken it out of 4 high, you've gone back to 2 high, but you're still accelerating and the transmission is under load. What you do, just pop your foot off the accelerator a little bit and just let it cruise a little bit, and you'll generally find that'll unlock itself or go into the lock position. Again, whatever you're trying to do, just take that load off the gearbox, let it do its own thing, and it'll generally go. Also, if you're turning a corner and you're not facing straight ahead, you'll generally find it won't engage or disengage whilst going around a corner. The handy tricks for the Super Select on your Mitsubishi. If you're in the Newcastle type area and you're somewhere near Mount Sugarloaf, Mount Sugarloaf / Watergans area, this is quite a good track for you to get out and take your four-wheel drive for a run for the first time. I highly recommend it actually because it's nice. It's you'll get a feel for your four-wheel drive. You'll actually get it on dirt. Again, you don't need to drop your pressures, but it's just a nice bit of a drive. Stick to this sort of trail and you'll be fine. You might get a little bit of water, but generally as a rule, it's nothing that you can't drive around. Just nice to be in the bush and just taking your four-wheel drive off-road for the first time. So really recommend this track for any first timers that want to get out and just take their four-wheel drives for a run. It's nice and close to town. Obviously if you get in trouble, it's not far for somebody to come and help you out. You could do this track in a two-wheel drive car. You will obviously see some traffic coming the other way. It's quite a popular little track, this one. Again, it's just fire trail. It's pretty easy and it's just a nice way to get your first lot of mud in your wheels or first lot of dirt in your wheels. Again, just take it easy. You've got a few little speed humps and stuff that they build in here for washing the water off the road. I'm probably going to suggest that you go from the direction that I'm coming. You can go up to the top of Mount Sugarloaf and drive down the trail. I actually find that heading up the trail, look, it's only ever so slightly more challenging, and I think you'll enjoy it that little bit more. Now if you drive up, you can basically get to the top, go out at the top of Mount Sugarloaf there and hit the tar road, and then drive out the normal exit from Mount Sugarloaf. And while you're driving up this road, if you want it, if you're new to your four-wheel drive, it's not going to hurt you to just pull up and go through the paces. Just put it in high. If it's a Pajero, put it in four-wheel high, drive along, see how that feels, and then take it and stop, put it into your four-wheel high and lock your center diff, and then put it in low range. It doesn't hurt you just to drive around in low range when you're off-road and you're in this sort of dirt, and it's a little bit slippery and the tires can spin. And it's a good opportunity just to see what it feels like. It is good practice to actually be changing your car in and out of four-wheel drive high and low and locking and unlocking the center diff. If you're one of those people where your four-wheel drive never leaves the tar, sometimes what you can find is when it's time to go and put it into 4 high or you know, lock that center diff, it doesn't want to do it because it hasn't moved for so long. So, you know, good opportunity to be driving along, just pull up, slap it into neutral, push it forward, lock it into 4 low, put it back into drive, and away you go. So we're now in 4 low, and we're going to notice that obviously our acceleration of our gears are affected, and we're going to get lower speeds out of each of our gears. But I can happily drive along here in 4 low, as you can see, and it's not going to create me any issues. I'm just going to go that little bit slower, and again, just drive along in 4 low. Yeah, feel like going back to 4 high, stop, take it out of drive, put it into neutral, push down, back into 4 high, back into drive, away you go. Now realistically, your Pajero should change that easily. Now I didn't have any flashing lights, I stopped, I pulled up, knocked it out of 4 low, put it into 4 high, and it's changed straight like that. Any opportunity that you get when you're not on a tar road, for example, you know, you're on a bit of a slippery surface, you're on sand, you're on dirt, you're on mud, you're on something along those lines, it's always a good opportunity, even if you don't need it, just to change through your gear ratios and go from 4 high to 4 low, and then back out again. Yeah, drive it along for a couple of minutes, take it back out, put it back into 2-wheel drive, put it into 4 high, whatever the case may be. It's just a real good opportunity, you know, have all that mechanism moving and testing it out. All right, so we've come to basically a turn off. Now if we basically did a U-turn and head up that way, up there, that's going to take us up to Mount Sugarloaf. That's going to take us up the top. Now that's the track I'm going to recommend to you if you're doing it as a beginner. Come up here, come to basically a Y piece, just do a bit of a U-turn, turn around and head up in that direction. We're actually going to head back down this way. We're going to go straight ahead, which is where the track is that we want to go down, where we want to test the 4-wheel drive out. You'll see a sign on your left which will say Great North Walk, and as you head down, you're going to see pretty much immediately it's going to start to get a little bit tougher. Now again, I think this is something you could do as a beginner. It's not an issue at all. There are a few little spots that you'll see that, you know, a few little I guess water spots, a few little deeper holes. Just cruise through them, and once you get a little bit further up, you're going to see that the road is going to start to drop away. Now this is where it's not a bad thing to drop yourself into 4 low. It's going to slow you up a little bit. There we go, we're in 4 low. I'm just going to put that into the sports mode. Going to put it over into 1st gear. We'll knock it up into 2nd because we can just pretty much roll down here. Now again, this is something you can do as a beginner if you like, but you are going to notice that there is going to be a little bit of mud and stuff down here. Probably for your first time, if you want to come down here, probably come down in the dry. It's not a bad thing. There is a little bit of mud, but you can, you know, as you can see, we can straddle those ruts if you want to, or if you're feeling a little bit game, just drop into them. You'll feel it. You'll feel the car slide a little bit, but there's no issues. The thing I would recommend here, you'll see there is a bit of a rut here and a bit of a hole with some water in it. As a beginner, I'd recommend not going through that. That is a little bit deep. Just go around it. You can go either side and just continue on, and you're actually going to find we're going to run into the first of our rock steps. Now this is where we're going to start doing some of our testing, so I'm going to need to jump out and just do some quick setting up of the cameras. We're going to jump out and I'll let little mate out for a run here. We're going to get these cameras set up and we'll be back to you shortly. Okay, so we've just pulled up just shy of this first rock steps, and we've actually got somebody coming the other way, so going to need to pack up the dog and just going to get out of the way. Okay, so we've let old mate go past. We've just pulled over, just going to set up the camera. Now I've only got the 3 cameras on me at the moment. I was going to bring the drone. Now the drone's set up over the top, but because of the rain, I'm not real keen to get the drone out and mess about with that. So and we'll just take you up and give you a quick look at the rock steps. These ones are pretty straightforward. This next ones are a little bit more challenging, but again, you know, this is going to be something we can check it out and we'll try all the different modes. This is the rock step here, just to give you some idea. That's about knee height or something like that. James did mention that some other people had some issues here and they've done some rock building, so I think that's what we've got over here. The dog's checking out, but we're not going to need that. We're just going to come up this side over on this right hand side here and just go straight up those. And this is where it does get a little bit slippery. Come on, Tyne. Hey, come bud. Here goes the trail dog. 4-wheel drive works better than my 2-wheel drive, I'll tell you that for nothing. Well, we're in 2-wheel drive basically, so we're into high, which is what you'd normally do, just, you know, drive along the freeway, etc. And we're going to make an attempt at this on the right hand side, so it is a little bit wet. And as you'll see from the outside, our bull bar is pretty close to hitting those rock steps as we go up. Alright, so already we're starting to spin on the back. Now you'll watch the dash here, you will see the traction control try to do its thing there. So the back wheel traction control is working. So you can see those back wheels flashing. You can see the stability control doesn't like it. That's flashing up the top there. But all right, that's about as far as we're going to get just in 2-wheel drive. So we'll just let it roll back. And we'll put it into basically all-wheel drive. We'll put it into 4 high. And we'll see what happens there. Now keep in mind, you've still got your traction control when you do this, when you're in this, when you're in 4 high. All right, so we'll just bump it a little bit. All right, so you can feel that front wheels are pulling that up. And there we go. All right, so we've gone straight up that in 4 high. So you can see that that did that really, really easily. Now, with a little bit of traction control, a little bit of flash, but I didn't need to lock the center diff. I didn't need to go into low range. You don't always need to use all your gear. It's always nice to have it. Get yourself out of trouble. Hold on to the dog. It's always nice to have it to get yourself out of trouble, but you don't always need to use it. That being said, as a recommendation, I would generally suggest that you go 1 level higher than you think you need to. So for example, coming up there, we didn't even lock the center diff, but I generally recommend that you do that, and you know, go that little bit further than you think you need to. Now the reason I say that is because if you go up there in the minimum requirement, you know, you go up there and you're spinning wheels and you're putting the right foot into it, you might still get up there, but you're gonna wreck the shit out of the track. So next time you've got to come up, or the next bloke wants to come up, you know, you've dug out all these ruts and you've buggered the track. So what you want to do realistically, be careful there, you know, is get up the track with a minimal amount of effort, minimal amount of wheel spin, and that's just going to preserve the track. It's going to make the track just that little bit better, and you know, you're not going to damage it, and you're not going to bugger it up for the next person or for you next time you come up. Because I probably expect that if you're doing the track now, you're probably going to want to come up it again. Alright, so let's, we're not going to bother with this one with all the other gadgetry. It's realistically not going to make it that much easier. What we will do, I will lock it into 4 low, just to give you a quick look. So we'll put it in neutral, 4 high, 4 low, and I'm going to drop that over into sports mode, and I'm going to leave it in 1st gear. Now we're just going to creep up again. You can see I can just creep up this. We're going really, really slow. Minimal amount of effort, and we're up. And that's what I mean. So you can get up there in all-wheel drive effectively, or 4-wheel high, but just going up in 4-wheel low with a locked center diff just made it that much smoother. It's that much easier on your vehicle. Less chance of damage, less chance of damage in the track. It started raining again, so that's going to be good. It's going to slick everything up just a little bit better. Although we don't want too much rain. I don't want to be getting wet while I'm out here. Oh. Now I just need to be a little bit careful of camera placement here, because if somebody else comes down, while I'm in the car and I can't get to the camera, could be in trouble. So, just give you a quick look at these rock steps. Quick look at these. You can see these are nice and slippery, so these are going to provide the challenge. So here's our track. We're going to go up, going to keep our right wheels in that track there. We're pretty much going to head straight up. So you can see there's a bit of a step there, bit of mud, bit of slippery, and we'll just keep going up. And there's some more climbs up there. Now if you feel a little bit confident in forward driving, definitely head up this way. In the dry, these don't offer too much challenge, but in the wet they get a little bit more tricky. But you know, that's a nice little drive heading up that way. Is what we want to do. This is what we want to tackle, and we're going to do the comparison on. So we're going to come up here. Again, we'll do it in 2 high, which we're not going to make for sure. I don't think we'll make it in 4 high. I think we'll just slip too much. We'll see how we go in with a lock diff. What are you doing, Pajero? Careful. Even little forward drive mates having troubles over here. This is where we've come from, obviously. If you come up here and you turn left, you go down that track there. There's a few little drop-offs which aren't too bad. Head down there, that'll take you out to Wakefield Paintball, and you can basically come out in their car park and then head out, and you'll be sort of near Wakefield there, near Freeman's Waterhole, if you want to head out that way. Come on. Okay, so we're back in the car. Titan just taking his second dump for the day. We're up that first lot of rock steps. We are gonna put it back into, we are going to go back into 2-wheel drive. Now we know this isn't gonna work. Now this is a little bit steeper than those last rock steps. Again, you've seen how easily we went up those. This one's gonna provide more of a challenge. So, here we go. Now I'm not expecting to, okay, well that's interesting. So, even just trying to climb up this hill in 2-wheel drive, I'm actually just starting to slip and we're not getting anywhere. So as you can see, that rear's kicking out. I'm not sure whether you can see that or not. All right, so we're not getting up there in 2-wheel drive. We're not even getting to the steps. So just gonna stop, put in all-wheel drive basically. That's gonna give us a bit of traction on the front. We'll see how we go. Stability controls, not liking that. We're spinning wheels, but we're up it. So we won't worry about 2-wheel drive. I think we've just proven that we couldn't even get up that slightly slopey, muddy section in that. So, all right, so here we go. We're basically at the steps. We're in, you can see our stability controls going off there. See that? Alright, we're just going to push it, just going to let the traction control do its thing. You can see those wheels all flashing. Alright, so look, we're basically a little bit crossed up, so that's not going to happen. Just going to give it a little bit more momentum. Again, keeping in mind we don't want to bugger the track, so just going to give it a little bit more momentum, see if that makes any difference, see if we can get it to grip. Nah, okay, so that's not going to happen. So we're in 4 high there, and it's just not going to happen. It's just too slippery. So pop it in neutral, and we're going to just lock that center diff, and here we go again. We'll see how we go. Now I'm expecting similar results here. Get just a little bit further. Okay, so you can see the traction control is flashing here and here. Our stability control doesn't like it, but what we're going to do is just going to give it a little bit of momentum, give it a little bit of help. What you'll find with your traction control is you've actually got to use a little bit more right foot than you would if you're using your rear diff lock, for example. Okay, so a little bit more momentum. Okay, that's not going to work. And again, we don't want to bugger this track, so because this is something I go up all the time. All right, so take it out of drive. We are going to put it into 4 low. You can see that's in 4 low now. Just going to slap it over to our sports mode. Just put it across into sports mode. Just going to lock it in first. Now this is just going to allow us to be a little bit more controlled, but I've got a feel. We are still going to spin, so let's just see what happens here. All right, it's trying, it's going. Okay, so it didn't like that, and we're getting ourselves on a weird position. Realistically, I need to use 2 hands for this just to control the car. That was a little bit silly of me to be trying to hold on to this, and we'll put 2 hands on that steering wheel. Because we don't want to be sliding over, because there's a little bit of a hole over there on the left, and if we drop into that, we're going to be in a little bit of trouble. In low range, a little bit more momentum. No, still wants to go over that way. Again, there's a lot to be said about picking your line. I'm sticking with the same line here. Just so we can do this comparison. All right, and you can see that's kicked out to the left. Oh, there's that big rock back there too. So we're just dodging this big rock that's behind us. We'll give you a look at that in a minute. But we are sliding towards it, so we're going to have to go around, which is not the ideal situation, because we are sliding down this hill. So that's good. So it gives you an idea of just how slippery this is. Poor old Titan gets bounced around a little bit. So we haven't made it up obviously in 2-wheel drive. We're never going to make that. We didn't make it up in 4 high. We didn't make it up in 4 high locked, and we didn't make it up in 4-wheel drive low locked. So what we're going to do, we're going to use some of our trickery. I'm going to hit the rear diff lock button here, and you'll see that'll start to flash. Rear diff lock now has come on. Our ABS is turned off. Our ASC is turned off. So our stability control is all turned off. So that's what happens when you engage the rear diff lock. All of that other stuff, stability control, etc., just turns off. So let's go and give this another crack. At this stage, something I've noticed is that quite often when you're in slippery situations and you're trying to use the rear diff lock, what you'll find is it just slides one way or the other. I'm expecting it to do that here. May be lucky and we may get up. So we're in 4-wheel drive, low range, and we've got the rear diff locked. Okay, so we're still moving around, still getting a little bit slippery there. We are going to give it a little bit of momentum and see how we go there. Okay, still doesn't want to do it. Just got to watch out for that big ass rock that's down there. It's in the worst position because it's right in the middle of the track. Alright, so this time, we are sliding down the hill again sideways. So this time we're going to put the vlads traction control on, and we're going to be forward drive low, and we are going to be having, so we're going to have our rear diff on, rear diff lock on, we're going to be in forward drive low, and we're going to put our vlads traction control mod on. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure this is going to make a difference with the way the track is at the moment, but let's do it and see what happens. Okay, so our vlads traction control. That's that one there. So basically what that's doing is allowing us to run our rear diff, but it's turned all of the traction control, etc. back on for that front wheel. So a lot closer, but we still need to dodge this bloody rock down here. A little bit more beans, I reckon we'll be right here. And there we go, we're up. So it required a little bit of beans to get us up there, and it required for us to turn all of our gadgets on. Like literally we had them all on, but we are up. So I'm going to race down, gotta go and grab the camera, let the dog out for a quick run because he's being good, sitting there quiet, getting bounced around. I'll come back to you soon. So we're just heading back down this track just to get down to get the other camera, which I bloody hope worked, because otherwise we did all that for nothing. So it's got to be a little bit careful here because she's slippery. Oh shit, I don't want to do a Steve. One of my mates the other day did one of his videos on different campsites, etc., and walked down a little bit of a mud slope and ended up on his ass. So
traction, well, it happened. I went ass up.
We'd like to avoid that if we can, because we're actually on the hey, come on, we're actually on the rocks here at the moment. That'll be the last place that you want to go over on your backside. You can see these are the rock steps. Now again, this is really pretty easy in the dry, doesn't require too much effort at all. So that's where we've come up that right side over there, and then basically just continued up through here, up those little steps just there, up those little steps just there, and then just up the top. So I'll continue on. We'll show you a little bit more of this track if you want to continue on straight ahead. A bit more of a look at the Pajero in action. And here comes the rain again. Now we're just on a little bit of a climb here. We've just got the top of those rock steps. Just want to show you what the dash does when your traction control is actually working. We should get a bit of a slip here. You'll see if one of your wheels starts to slip, you'll actually see it start to flash on your dash there. Not sure if we're going to get it to do it here. The old Pajero is just too good. Just here again, we're going to climb up these rocks here. Okay, here we go. You'll see the traction control starts to flash up the top when it engages. We should get it here. There we go. So we've got ourselves crossed up a bit. That's a good example. Front left is trying to activate and the rear right is trying to activate. So we'll get those spinning again. You'll see that. There we go. And if we give her a bit more right boot, she might engage. No, she's not going to do it. We're just going to drop back. And we are just going to take a slightly different line here. Weren't really paying too much attention heading up there. So we'll go over to our right. That'll just keep us at much more level. And you'll see, hopefully, the traction control didn't care a biscuit. It's realistically just about picking your line. And we'll see here, we've got a bit of a dip. And we can drop our wheels in that. We'll see if we can get the traction control to engage. So, trying to hold the GoPro level with the ground, you can see. So you can see what sort of slope we're in. Alright, there we go. And again, crossed up, those two wheels start to engage. And that's your traction control doing its thing.